Hi, my name is Susan Smith, and I am from the island of St. Paul. My research is on subsistence practices across Alaska, regional differences in Aleut, Athabascan, and Inupiat indigenous peoples. I will be discussing fishing, hunting, berry harvesting, and the subsistence calendar which many hunters use so they'll know when the animals are out and available. Subsistence is very necessary because so many people do not live on a road system. They need to have the rivers as their primary transportation routes, so there are river barges, and people also use their personal boats to go up and down the rivers in the summer. They use dog teams to run the rivers in the wintertime, and they use small planes on both the winter and the summer. Many of the goods that people need are very expensive, and they either cannot afford the store prices or they prefer to live off of the land. Subsistence has been defined by many different people, and basically it is using tribal methods that are critical to the nutrition, food security, and economic stability that their cultures have used for thousands of years. The act of hunting, fishing, and gathering, coupled with the seasonal cycle of these activities and sharing celebrations which accompany them, are intricately woven into the fabric of their social, psychological, and religious life. I have chosen the Bering Sea community of St. Paul, the Chukchi and Arctic Ocean communities of Kotzebue and Kaktovik, and the Yukon River village of Ruby to highlight. For generations, fishermen have used kayaks, canoes, or sealskin boats to travel the rivers and waterways to locate food sources. Ransom states Aleut communities either hand caught their fish or used web nets or seines in Aboriginal times. Today's nets, they use a variety of materials for floats and lead sinkers for weights. Harpoons were also used to spear the fish, and they still are to some degree. St. Paul residents Sean Lekanoff and Aquilina Lestenkoff describe subsistence hunting, fishing, and harvesting in a similar way as Ransom. However, Sean says that he and his family or friends use motorized boats for halibut, pollock, and cod. Aquilina Lestenkoff uses a long line for fishing and trap nets for land animal hunting. She prefers hunting reindeer stealthily on foot because it is the tribal tradition, and this tradition is getting lost in today's modern technology. Sean and Aquilina both say that they use their trucks, four-wheelers, and motorboats to transport the harvested carcasses and fish back home. And as you can see, these fish are huge. When I asked them what happens if you catch too much, they said they share it with the community, give it to the food bank. There are also many birds that are on St. Paul Island, so we have lots of bird hunters who come out into the fields when the birds are out, and they find quite a bit of food that way. The first seal harvest is for 8 weeks from June to August, and they do it 1 day a week. They are allowed to harvest the pre-adult males. And my disclaimer is, if you do not want to see them killed or skinned, please turn the sound down, skip the frames, go on to something else until I pass all that. Because this is the way of life for the indigenous group, I felt it extremely important to include it in this slideshow. The sealing crew responsibilities: pod cutters separate the seals into small groups. So once they round them up from the sea up to the killing field, they put them in small groups. The stunners club the seal's skulls 1 time to render them unconscious. Stunners get out of the way, and the stickers will pierce their heart to instantly kill the seal. Then the rippers come in and they cut the pelts away from the flippers. Then the skinners come in and separate the pelts from the carcasses, and boys as young as 8 years old participate in this part of the harvest so they can see how it works. The village of St. Paul has a first seal thank you dance, and this year they did it during Aleut Independence Day. This is where they're cutting the seal and taking the meat that they need. I will tell you that in case you're concerned about the humanity of the killing of the seals, the Ecological Conservation Office and the Island Sentinels ensure that they are treated humanely from the time that they leave the sea until they are killed. Samples of internal organs are taken for testing by medical professionals to determine if diseases or infections are present. This is good for the health of the community and provides valuable information about the health of the seal population. The ADFG collects data on how many households in each area participate in subsistence harvesting. St. Paul has 89%, the majority of that being fish, which is 62%, and marine mammals is 45%. And this is the Fish and Game website that you can go to where you can get these charts for each of the different locations. Next, I go up to the Inupiaq areas of Kotzebue and Kaktovik. Bowhead whales are the most predominant whales in the Arctic Ocean, and each village is given a strike or a number of whales that they may harvest. If they have too many strikes and they don't use them all, then they are free to give to additional villages. Wooden skin boats are used for whaling, and these whaling tools are used for ripping the skin off and being able to get to the meat. The community whale harvest, if you want part of the whale, you have to help with the harvest. Teams will go out for weeks at a time. They will land a whale, everyone pulls it in, and then everyone gets right to work cutting off the parts. And the Eskimo or Inupiaqs give to the elders first because they are the respected ones in the community, even if they do not go on the harvest themselves. The feasting grounds then are used once the whaling season is over. They'll bring out their whale. The bones that you see on the top left are whale bones that were from previous feasts, and they stick them in the ground to make an arch-like thing. And where I'm sitting are the bones that were left over from this from the 2014 season. And whatever's left, the polar bears, the ducks, not the ducks, the meat-eating birds are able to come and feast as well. So they take care of the people and they take care of the animals. ADFG has noticed that there is a huge percentage of fishing in Kotzebue. 88% of households participate in fishing, and overall they have 95% of the households do subsistence harvesting. And last, I will go to the Yukon River of the village of Ruby. And they are very proud to be indigenous. They have a sign that has a fish on it that says indigenous because they do respect, protect, and restore the Yukon River. It is a 900-mile river across Alaska. There are additional miles where it starts in Canada as well. And it's one of the largest salmon fishing areas in the world. They do use fish wheels when they're allowed to. However, due to overfishing, the last 2 years they were not able to use them. And these are run basically by the river current, and the fish fall into the baskets, and the people can very easily take the fish from the river. ADFG's subsistence data for Ruby shows 91.5 of the total household in Ruby do subsistence. So as you can see, all three of these different tribal areas use a high percentage of subsistence. And as I was talking to the principal, Ann Titus, and Katie Kangas, the tribal chief, they stated that sometimes they will use the traditional bows and arrows to hunt, and sometimes they will use spears to hunt or to fish, and other times they'll use more modern types of technology. And this is the Ruby report. And game is transported on freight dog sleds, motorboats, And I put this picture here of the nets so you can see that they just take a Rubbermaid bucket out with the net in it, they throw it in the water, and then they will drag them in so they don't have to spend as much time with the other types of fishing. And then this bottom picture shows a kayak chasing a moose across the river. Smokehouses are used for drying fish at either the fish camps or at the personal homes. And a typical hunting campsite is 3 or 4 tents, lots of firewood, and they eat what they catch or what they kill. Subsistence is done for 3 reasons: community, connectedness, health benefits, and spiritual aspects. They all say that anything related to the food procured belongs to all the community members. Sharing and cooperation and eating together provides positive relationships and overall well-being. The economic stability is good because people can use the non-edible parts of these animals for crafts and for selling a profit. When there was no welfare or assistance for those who did not work, subsistence kept people connected to the land and their communities. Nobody can land a whale by themselves, so family and social contacts are vital when participating in these activities. The health benefits are, since there's no artificial ingredients, they are able to have 100% natural, which sometimes will lower the risk of cardiovascular diseases, diabetes, and birth defects. Spiritual aspects of subsistence in it: if you respect the land, you respect the animals, then they will give to you of themselves freely. Subsistence living does not begin when adulthood is reached. From very early on, children learn skills and traditions and heritage. So what I'm going to ask you is, which would you rather eat? Would you like food from the land or food from McDonald's? When children are allowed to help with the hunter safety education, they will go from wanting McDonald's to now eating reindeer and moose. There are safety rules that you must follow. And Casper, Chauncey, and Greg explained to me that you must follow the safety rules if you're going to hunt. You have to control muzzles, keep firearms unloaded, and keep the safety on. They had to learn how to handle the weapon, learn the parts, and then they had to take a test to prove that they were certified. I would like to thank those people who allowed the use of their photographs, for the 3 young men for completing the hunter safety survey, and my friends in different villages for answering my questions.